I'm Alexis.
And I'm Tiffany, and we're the hosts of Legit KidLit, a video series where we get to see into the secret and silly lives of authors and illustrators.
We love to celebrate and promote books, but most of all, we want to say hey to all you readers out there trying to find that right book for you. We hope that you can find some new reads after today.
It's September, and it's start of the spooky season. We were lucky to sit down with Lindsay Currie and talk about her upcoming release, What Lives in the Woods. What Lives in the Woods is her third book, and it comes out in 2 days on September 14th, 2021. It's being released in both paperback and hardback, so make sure that you go ahead and grab your copy today.
I'd love to give a little background on me and my books. So my name is Lindsay Currie. I like to write spooky middle grade novels. So my books are usually geared toward the 8 or 9 to maybe 13 age range. My first book, The Peculiar Incident on Shady Street, came out in 2017. It's a ghost story set here in my city, Chicago. And then getting ready for its 1-year birthday, A Scritch Scratch, came out last September. Also a very spooky cover. This is also a ghost story and mystery set here in Chicago. See a theme? Chicago's very spooky and haunted. There's a lot of legends here, so I love to write books here. But the one I'm most excited about right now is What Lives in the Woods. This is coming out next week, September 14th. I'm so excited about this book. This one actually takes place in Saugatuck, Michigan, and it follows the story of my main character, Ginny Anderson, who is an aspiring mystery novelist. She's really into Agatha Christie novels ever since reading one for school. Hooray, librarians and teachers who get books into young readers' hands that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise read. It opened a whole new world for Ginny, and she wants to write like Agatha someday. But little does she know that during her summer vacation, she's going to end up in a very creepy, very rundown old mansion that has a very spooky history, and she's going to be entrenched in a mystery all her own. So that is What Lives in the Woods. I'm so excited for you guys to read.
Hi, Lindsay. We are so excited to have you here. As you know, we're both huge fan of you and your books. Tell us how you felt about R.L. Stine giving you a blurb for your latest book.
That R.L. Stine blurb. Okay, so let me show you this beauty right here. I don't think there are words to really convey what it was like to see that he read one of my books and liked it. I think I would have been stunned if he had one of my books in his house and was using it as a coaster on his coffee table. But to find out that he read it and liked it was a crazy experience. In fact, my husband still likes to tell people that when I got the email, including the blurb, he could not tell when I was running around our house if I was laughing or crying. And I think it's because it was a combination. I was so elated and overjoyed, but it was really surreal. And it also felt like an accomplishment that I never anticipated having. So thank you for asking about that, because it's definitely a memory that I like sharing, and it was a magical moment in my author journey.
Did you have any favorite mystery books or shows growing up?
So favorite mystery books or shows growing up. Mystery has always been one of my favorite genres. So I spent a lot of time when I was younger reading mystery novels, but I have to tell you that there's one that always pops up in my mind when I get asked this question. It was called The Dollhouse Murders. What a horrifying title, right? It was such a scary book. So this book was about a girl who spends part of her summer, I think it was her summer, at her aunt's home. And she discovers in the attic that there is a dollhouse, and that dollhouse is an exact replica of the house that she's staying in. And you guys will have to excuse me if I get any of these details wrong. This has been since the 80s since I read this book, but that's how much it impacted me. It was so scary and so spooky, and the mystery was so artfully crafted that I still remember trying to figure out what was happening. But this dollhouse at night came to life and reenacted a murder. The dolls moved. I mean, you would hear footsteps and the lights turned on and the dolls moved. Terrifying, but wonderful. So that book, if it's still out there, it could be one to look up. I don't know how well it has held up over the years, but I think the author's name was Betty Wren Wright. So yes, absolutely a fan of that.
I heard a rumor that you jumped off the Jaws Bridge. What is the Jaws Bridge and why did you jump off of it?
The Jaws Bridge. Okay, I have this on my website because it's one of the few, I think weird fun facts about me. One of the few that's not related to Halloween or something like that. So it's actually a bridge in Martha's Vineyard that was featured in the movie Jaws, which is why it's called the Jaws Bridge. And I visited there several years ago with my family, and locals were telling us that a tradition there is to jump off that bridge into the water. I mean, I think it's like maybe 15 or 16 feet. It's not something crazy and excessive, and it's definitely not dangerous. I do not specialize in doing dangerous things. I am a very paranoid person, so I like to be very careful, which is why jumping off this bridge, even though it's safe, was still a stretch for me as a person. So I went first. My son jumped off as well, who, at the time was, I don't know, maybe 13, maybe 14. But I do still like to talk about that because it was a brave Lindsay moment.
Tell us about your Spirits tour.
I love that you're asking about the Spirits tour because I love talking about the Spirits tour. The Spirits tour actually originated here in Scritch Scratch. So this came out about a year ago, and this bus right here, I don't know if you can make it out, but it actually says Spirits right here. This is the Spirits bus. It's my main character's father runs a ghost tour called the Spirits Tour. And it's although it's not a real tour here in Chicago, you can't come to Chicago and take the Spirits ghost tour. You can take a lot of different ghost tours that this was inspired by. So we have a ton of them here in the city. And so this map on the inside, if you've never seen this, I'm just gonna show you. It's gorgeous. This is the map on the inside of Scritch Scratch, and it's all of the locations on the Spirits tour. So these are all the places that the bus would stop. And they're real places here in Chicago, which is very cool. They're places that you could go and visit if you were here in the city tomorrow. So I would strongly recommend that you go to my website, lindsaycurrie.com, and go to the Spirits Tour tab if you're interested, because all of these places are on that tab and they're interactive. So you can click on them and see what happened in that location, why people think it's haunted, why it's rumored to be haunted, what the history is, and I love all of that stuff. So it's pretty detailed. And then after doing that, if you still love the idea of ghost tours, you need to physically come to Chicago and take a ghost tour. I would start with Mysterious Chicago, run by a good friend of mine, Adam Selzer, who actually helped inspire a lot of Scritch Scratch and the ghost tour, the Spirits tour in particular. He runs amazing tours. So fun, so insightful, so spooky. I think you guys would love it.
What's the scariest thing that has ever happened to you?
Scariest thing that has ever happened to me. I honestly haven't had a lot of scary things happen to me, but I'm going to kind of tie this question in to one of your other questions, which is, has anything spooky happened while writing any of your books? So young readers ask me frequently if I've ever gotten frightened when I'm researching or doing something related to my books. And generally my answer is no. But I did have one instance in a graveyard when I was recording a video for a group of young readers who really were excited to read my book. They were going to a launch party that was not in my state, and it wasn't something I was actually going to be able to attend. And I wanted to send them a special little surprise as a thank you for going to that event. And so I thought a personalized video would be great. So I wanted to do it in the graveyard, close to the grave of the ghost in Peculiar Incident. So in this book, this was my first middle grade right here. And So I'm all set up. My son was videoing for me, right? And it was a perfectly lovely day. Like, there were no clouds in the sky. It was perfect. And right when I said the words grave and ghost when I was, talking for this video, it was like the whole climate changed, and there were these dark clouds that started rolling in. It got really chilly. The wind started blowing so hard that we actually had to pause the video for a moment because my son couldn't hear anything I was saying anyway. And I really thought it was an eerie coincidence. I don't think I have that video anymore, but I'm happy to share it at some point if I can find it, because it raised the hairs on the back of my neck and on my arms. I got that chilled feeling like something's going on here. I don't know if it was somebody in the graveyard giving me a message, but it was spooky. I love Would You Rather. So I'm gonna do these rapid fire. Werewolf or vampire? Vampire all the way. I love vampire stuff, especially Vampire Diaries. So I'm a big nerd for that show. I think I was like many years late to the Vampire Diaries party, but I don't care. It was awesome. Lost in Space or Lost in the Ocean? So I guess here's a little bit of a little known fact about me. I am really afraid of space. I don't like space movies. I don't like anything that involves people going into space and potentially not getting home. So I'm gonna have to go with Lost in the Ocean. Neither is a good option. I don't like either of them, but I don't want to be in space. I know that for sure. Disney or Orlando? It is not a secret. I am a massive Disney fan. I will choose Disney over a lot of things. So Disney all the way. I love Disney World. Iced coffee or hot coffee? Iced. Today I'm drinking hot at the moment, but normally it's iced. I love it iced. Author visits. Yes, I love author visits. I'm actually on day 2 of my What Lives in the Woods book tour right now. I visited with about 7 schools yesterday. I have about another 7 or 8 on my agenda today, actually every day this week. And then next week, I am shifting into launch week. I'm so excited since the book comes out on the 14th of September. I'm going to be doing a mix of in-person and virtual, honestly, through October. So while I can't promise that I could get a school in to my schedule, I can promise that I would do my very best, especially if that school was interested in being on the What Lives in the Woods book tour and they were comfortable with joining a virtual event with another school that's already in it. Because the numbers of schools in there don't really affect me, I'm going to do my presentation and answer questions like I would whether or not it's 1 school or 4 schools or 5 schools. So if you want to get in touch with me and be on my tour and have your class or your school or your district join me, email me at lindsayncurrie@gmail.com and I will loop my publicist in and we will try to get something set up for you. It really is a fun presentation. It's a great way to kick off fall. It's a great way to ease into the spooky season. And I think your students will get a lot out of it. All are welcome on these, but do know that the presentation is really geared through 4th through 6th or 7th grade. So anything outside of that spectrum, it may not be absolutely ideal for them, but still, the more the merrier.
Thank you, Lindsay, for kicking off this spooky season with a wonderful book, What Lives in the Woods, and some great stories from you, and just thank you for your time. We hope that you have a fantastic launch, and we hope everyone has discovered some new books to read, and make sure that you follow Lindsay Currie in all of her adventures in writing.